Hi everyone. We're going to talk about how to create a very simple scrolling app. And what this does is it scrolls through a list of pictures and also text that goes with the picture. In this case, I'm just doing famous K-pop groups. So in my list, I have uh, just like about 4. So SES. And what's going to happen is if you press these buttons, scroll left and right, it's just going to scroll through your list. And you see the picture changes and also the name of the K-pop group changes as well. And I'm going to show you how to do a favorites button, which I represented with a heart button here. So when you press this, it should save the name of the band that you favorited. Like this. Well, you could do it twice. And finally, we're going to program the random button. And if you press this button, it goes to random K-pop groups in the list. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is actually create something called a dataset, which is a bunch of information that contains the name of the group and also the picture. Actually, the web address of the image, technically speaking. So how you do that is, let's go to code.org. And if you log in with your school account, you're going to come to this page, okay? It should say My Dashboard. If it doesn't, just click on the top, either top right, or actually, on my screen, it's actually top left. There's a button that says My Dashboard. If you just click on it, it will take you to the screen. And then just go down to the bottom of the screen, scroll down. And you're going to come to, we're going to use this program. It's called App Lab. App Lab. Okay, it looks like this. And just click on it. And you're going to come to the screen where you do your programming. You see this huge space here. It's called a workspace. And here is the debug console. Sometimes like the app gives you messages here. You can use this place to track certain things. But right now, what we need to be concerned with is just a workspace. There's also a toolbox, which is you can drag and drop certain programming items into the workspace. And you can also type as well, like manually type in these items. How you do that is if you go to the top right, do you see how there's a button that says show text. If you click on it, then you can actually, type in your code manually, okay? But for now, I think you should use the code block mode. The reason is if you make a mistake in typing, it's very easy to do if you're a beginner. Your program's not going to work, and you're going to have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out like one little thing you type, like if you're missing like a semicolon, if you're missing like a bracket, things like that. So you don't want to spend too much time doing that as a beginner. So I suggest you use like the block mode, which you can drag things out. It's pretty easy, right? So it reduces like your typing mistakes. So let's make the data set. This part of the screen here, right on the left, the very left, is how your app is supposed to look. So everything, like the interface you design for the user, like all the buttons they click, the stuff they see on the screen, the images, the text, any sort of interface item, it's going to be put here. But let's go to the Data tab. See on the top, it's the third one, the last one. If you click on here, this is where you make your data set. So if you go to where it says table name and the add button, let's name, we're gonna make a data set of K-pop groups, just for example, okay? You can also do, like other class we did, animals. You can also do that. It's the same concept, but you can put in different data. I mean, it's up to you. You can put in sports teams. You can put in like boarding schools you want to attend. You can make any list you want, okay? But for this demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna do K-pop groups, okay? So give your data set a name. So I'm just gonna type K-pop groups. Okay, that's gonna be my name. You can name it whatever you want, but make sure when you're doing the coding that you use exactly the same name that you put here, okay? Or your program is not going to run properly. After you put in the name, just press the add button and it will create the data set. Well, it will create the structure, basic structure of the data set. And if you notice up here, this is the name of your data set that you just put in. K-pop groups for myself. We're gonna make 2 columns. They already give you 1 column. It's called column 1 by default. Let's make another column. The reason is we want to have a column that includes the name of the K-pop groups, and then the second column is going to include, it's going to contain the URLs, okay, of the images, like the actually web address of the images, okay. So let's change column 1. Let's rename it because column 1 is not very descriptive. You always when you're programming like this, you should always name things that give a good idea of what the information is, okay? So this is going to be the names of the K-pop groups. So I'm just going to name it names. Then you want to change column 2. Click on the gear and choose rename. You want to make it, let's just name it images, okay? Because this is where the images are going to go. Okay, pay close attention to this part. I'm just gonna make this bigger. In these columns, the information that's going to be inputted, there's different data you can put into these data sets, but for names, it's going to be a text, right? And if you want to enter text, you have to put it in quotations. So I'm going to put the quotations first. Do you see that? Opening quotation and then end quotation. So the quotation key should be the key next to the enter button on your keyboard. And how you actually activate it is you go right shift and then press that key. And do it twice so you have 2 of them. And inside I'm going to put the name of my first K-pop band, which is going to be, let's just do BTS, okay? Don't worry about the images right now. I'm going to search for it later, but let's add the row first. So we got to create the row by pressing the add row button. So adds the row for you, okay? Let's do 5 more. Actually 4 more. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at my list here because I haven't memorized these names. I'm just gonna copy from this list. Le Seraphim is gonna be next. Okay, and then you add the row. Let's do a few more. If you're doing this while looking at this video, you can choose your own groups. You don't have to do the ones I'm doing. Let's do New Jeans next. And let's do Stray Kids last. And am I missing? I think I'm missing something here, am I? Okay, that's 4. Well, let's just do 4 for now. That's fine. You don't have to do 5. So then now you have the names. Make sure they're in quotations. Just say if you didn't. Let's just say if you let's say like Blackpink, if you wanted to put in another name, and if you don't put the quotations, let's look at what happens. No quotations, just put Blackpink and then add the row, and there's like an error that shows up. So it just tells you the value. It means like the data type. You have to define it, right? So for text, you have to put it in the quotes, okay? Because it's in programming language, the text is like considered a string, okay? It's called a string. All right, let's not do that. So that's why you have to, like, if you put it in quotes, it should work. So let's put it in quotes, see what happens. Okay, so it actually does add it, okay? If you have to put in quotes, there's no. Let's delete. Just leave it in, that's fine. Okay, so the next part we're gonna do is actually put in the image for each of the K-pop groups. And how you do this is first go to Google search or any kind of search, and you want to search for the corresponding image. Okay, so BTS, just gonna type BTS. Let's go to like images. And you know, I like this picture, so let's click on it. Now, pay attention here. You have to get the right menu, okay? Hover your mouse over the image and get into the menu here, okay? How you call it the menu, depending on what computer you're using. If you're using like a mouse pad, okay, if you're not using a mouse, I believe you probably use 2 fingers and you press at the same time down. And the menu should pop up. If not, if you're using a mouse, you have to right click. Okay, right click and there's a menu. And make sure you choose copy image address. Okay, this is the only thing that will work. Copy image address, let's click on it. So the image address is copied. Let's go back to our data set. And we're going to enter it into this column, the images column. Okay, so how you do that, you have to press edit. Once again, you got to put it in quotations or it's not going to work. And then you paste the link you just copied. Okay, save it. Okay, so it applies. Here's some things you need to pay attention to. A lot of students, they make the mistake of just say they do like a search, you know, for a band. And they click on it. For example, this image that we just clicked on. They click on it and they try to copy, like on top of the browser, there's a address window, right? And they try to copy that address. It's like the Google search, image search address. And if you do that, it's not going to work. Like, just say if you copy it, I'm going to copy. You can't really see it on my screen, but it's just copied from the actual address bar. And let's say if you put it in here, this will most likely, if you run the program, it will most likely not show. The image will not show. Okay. So for some reason, if you do this kind of Google image search address, it's not going to work. So please don't do that. Okay. All right, let's go back to, let's get this back here. Whoops. Well, you don't have to actually, let's do it this way. Copy image address, and then you put it back in. Make sure you have the quotations around it, okay? So that should work. And I'm just gonna go in and enter in all the addresses for the rest of these images. And then I'm just gonna pause the video and then we'll come back, okay? Okay, so I've entered in all the URLs for each of the images right here. So just do a double check before you leave the screen. Make sure each of your columns has a name. So my first column for the names of the brand is called names. And for the images, I just call the images here. And make sure all your links are legitimate. Another warning is sometimes the links you choose, even though you chose like copy link address, it may not show in your app for some reason. In that case, you may have to find a different link, okay, for a different image, and keep trying until it shows up, okay. So you have your data set here. Let's go and do some coding and design our app. So on the actual app screen, can you click on the design tab? Once you come here, there's going to be a design toolbox. It's going to have a whole bunch of things you could drag into the app screen to design like the interface, like actually how it looks when the user opens your app and starts to, interact with it. So the first thing we want to do is we want an area to display an image of your K-pop group or whatever item you put on your list. So did you see what I just did? You just choose the image and left click on it, hold it, and drag it out. Okay, you got to hold the button down, drag it out, release the button, and it will be dropped into the screen. And you can, what I just did was I adjusted like the size of this image. This is where the image is going to go. Okay. Like the images you found, and you put the URLs, you're going to display, you're going to pull from the URL and you're going to display the image here. Okay. Another way you can adjust the size is you can manually input the numbers in pixels, okay, for the width and height. So let's say I want like width is 200 and height is 200 pixels. So you can also do that and it becomes like this, and you can use your mouse to like move it around, drag it around, like the position. Okay, another thing to pay attention to, very important, is each item on this app list, it has something called an ID, okay? So if you mouse over where we put the image, do you see it says, it has like the coordinates of the pixel where your mouse pointer is. And if you hover over that item, it has an ID. Right now, the ID is image 2. That's not very descriptive. Like I said, everything you put into your program, like in your coding, you should name it so that it makes sense, okay? Because when it gets really complex and you don't label things correctly, it's very hard to find them and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. In your program, you're going to waste time trying to hunt for bugs, trying to correct like mistakes. Is not going to be pretty, okay? So you need to be organized by having good habits, by labeling your things properly. So I'm not going to label this just image 2 for the ID. Let's label it something that's related, okay? That makes sense. So let's call it K-pop group image, right? You can even put underscores just like to represent like a space. Okay, there's like a, I think my thing has like a spell check. You can underscore kind of like this, okay, just to make like spaces, but you can also put it in like, just stick it all together, it's fine. So K-pop group image, this is what I'm gonna name it. See, once you change the ID, it's gonna be reflected when you mouse over. K-pop group image, okay? The next thing we're gonna do is have a space for the name of the group to pop up. So we're gonna use text area. We'll drag it out, drop it in. And let's adjust the size. I mean, the name isn't that big, so don't have like a really huge window. I just like do it like that. And once again, change the ID. Let's change it to like K-pop group name. Okay. So that's where the K-pop group name is going to go. This is where the K-pop group image is going to be displayed. Up here, okay? So you got that. Okay, here comes kind of like the trickier part. You actually have to make some way, some kind of interface to make a scroll through like all these items, okay? So that's going to be the next video, right? So you can click on the next video too. But so far you should have your data set up and also some parts of your interface. In this case, the image and where the name of the K-pop group is going to be displayed down here in the text box. So make sure you have these, and I'll see you in the next video about how to make the scrolling buttons.